Good day friends, here I am there Kinjan Mai Sangvi presenting the lecture 3 of Introduction to Object Oriented Programming. We'll just have a review of the last session which we have considered with the various types of languages like machine, assembly language, procedure oriented and object oriented. We have seen that C falls under procedure oriented, which follows a top-down approach. C++ follows object oriented, which follows a bottom-up approach. We'll come to know with what is top-down and bottom-up as we are studying with the programming techniques. We are having the different programming paradigms and techniques such as unstructured, structured, modular, object-oriented and generic. C language follows under both structured and modular programming language, whereas C++ falls under modular as well as object-oriented programming technique. We have identified the need of object-oriented programming to overcome the limitations of POP, majorly global data access. And we are again acquainted with the different fundamentals of OOP. Objective of this session is going to be learning the fundamentals of OOP in much more details. Outcome of this session, you will be able to be acquainted with the details of different concepts of OOP. Now, we have seen in the previous lecture the different concepts of OOP like object, class, data encapsulation, data abstraction, inheritance and polymorphism. These all you have seen in your first year lecture of SPPU syllabus, PPS, Programming and Problem Solving subject. Just a review today of what is objects, classes and all the different fundamentals of OOP. Now when we are coming towards the object, everywhere you see about object is having certain data and certain member function, and each object is having a data and member function together, and it is termed to be an object. These objects when have their own data and their own member function, and they can interact with each other. Now when we are observing that one object is having its own data, it can share its data with another object if it wants to, either privately or protectedly. We'll see with this access specification afterwards. Just come to know that object is having data and member function in it. Now when we are taking an analogy of your own college, you consider that you have in different sections as student section, you have account section, you have department. Each section is having its own functions. Student section is having your data like what is your roll number, what is your admission number and what is your results, all with the student section. Account section is related to all the financial data of yours, and department is related to the courses which you are applied for, what are the subjects which you are learning and how much is the performance in those subjects. So each object is having its own data and its own functions. Now in real world, when I am taking about all the physical objects like a car, you are taking a key, you are taking a printer, a chair, or a table, a cupboard, everything becomes a physical object. Every elements of a computer can become an object, every human entity can become an object. Each and every data, whether it is an integer data, whether it is a float data, when you combine together it can become an object. Different data storage constructs can become an object. So many more things are there which can be termed as objects. Now the basic definition of an object is it is known as a runtime entity. It is also known as a unit, which is a collection of data and functions together, as previously we have seen. Now why runtime entity? Keep into mind that object is known as an entity because it is collecting data and function, and it is runtime entity because it is taking that space inside the memory at execution time, that is at runtime. Every element in the data in the computer takes a space inside the memory, but that memory can be either at runtime or at compile time. That means when it is active, I can say At that time only it is taking the space inside the memory. So that is known as runtime entity. So keep into mind, object is known as a runtime entity since it takes a space inside the memory at runtime. Okay. So what can be an object? You can see everything which has certain attributes and certain operations can be termed as an object. Consider a student object. You have different functions as enrollment, you have displaying the information, you have calculation of the results, you have displaying the performance. So these 4 different functions can be combined together and be applicable to a single student who has its own name, who has its own ID, branch and a semester. So each student can become an object with different functions and different data with him or her. Now when I am considering different such objects together, like consider a student object as per a student A, student B, student C is having its own name, his own roll number. Student B is having his own name, his own roll number. So when you are collecting these similar types of students together, they become a class as your second year class. Your second year class is having all the students who are having their own data, their own functions, that is they are having their own name, they are having their own functions which are there, but all are collected into similar class, that is second year. So a class is termed to be a collection of similar type of objects. Class is also termed to be a user defined data type because object is termed to be a data and your object is known as an instance of a class. That is, object is termed to be an instance of a class, hence class is termed to be a data type which designates an object. And this data type or this class is defined by the user as to which data it is going to have, which function it is going to have. That is why it is termed to be user defined data type. मतलब class को define कौन करता है? User. इसीलिए user defined data type. Class is also known as abstract data type. Now previously we have seen abstraction. Abstraction क्या होता है कि implementation details को hide करना. So class is also a concept which is hiding the implementation details from others. It knows what it is implementing, but it does not show it to others. That is why it becomes which type of data type? Abstract data type. So class is having the 3 different definitions. It is collection of similar type of objects. It is a user defined data type. It is an abstract data type. Considering the example of class, come towards class fruit. Mango, apple and orange are the examples or can be termed as the objects of class fruit. Fruit is having color, each fruit is having a color as its data and each fruit is having its own function. For example, mango is having a yellow color, apple is having a red color, orange is having an orange color. So their colors are different, but they are all under the category of fruit. So mango, apple and orange becomes object while as fruit becomes a class. So class is hence termed to be a collection of similar type of objects. Let us see here. Class is having certain data and certain features, and when you combine object 1, object 2, object 3, they all are belonging to the same class, that is class A. They are having functions which are either similar to class A or they can have their own particular data. So class is said to be collection of similar objects as we have seen. Next concept is encapsulation. Now when we are coming towards encapsulation, you are having a term as data and function combined together forms an object. Now the process which combines the data and function into an object and forms a unit like class is termed to be encapsulation. Remember, encapsulation is a process which combines the data and function into a single unit, that is object, and hence class. So encapsulation is enclosing both the data and functions, and it is termed to be a process of combining the data Encapsulation is enclosing of both variables and functions. It is a process of combining the data and the operations into a single unit. It hides the data from the user. Again, it allows the modularity and allows controlled access to data. Remember, encapsulation hides the data from the user, not the implementation details. It just hides the data details from the user, not the implementation details. Remember that. Next is how you represent an encapsulation. Encapsulation forms a unit, that is a class, having attributes and functions combined into a single unit. As for example, you are having a student as a class having its own data attributes and certain functions. Now, abstraction is another concept of OOP. Encapsulation hides the details, whereas abstraction hides the implementation details. Encapsulation hides the data details, whereas abstraction hides the implementation details. Means how the function is executing, that function is doing what kind of activities, that is not shown to others, and thus it is known as hiding the implementation details. So all object oriented programming techniques is having that feature of abstraction, that it hides the implementation details from others due to abstraction. Okay, it only asks what you can do, it doesn't ask you how you do it. Next, you have inheritance. Inheritance means, for example, as you are seeing, square, circle, cube, cylinder, all these are known as basic common thing. They are known as, all are known as shape. So one thing is common in all, that they are having a shape. Yeah, a square has a shape which is having 4 corners. A circle has a shape which has no corners. A cube is having again 4 corners. A cylinder is similar to that of a circle but having certain height and depth. Okay, so when you are having such things which have a common thing, you make the property of inheritance. That is, square is acquiring certain properties of shape, that it is having a certain shape but it is having 4 corners, while circle is also having the common property of a shape but it is having no boundaries. This is having its own extra data. Again, when I am coming to cube, I cannot compare a cube with a square. Yes, I can compare it in common that both are shapes, but a cube is having certain thing in common with square, that it has 4 corners, but all those 4 corners is having a certain depth, that is said to be a cube. A cylinder is having no corners with a certain depth. So you can designate or you can differentiate cube and cylinder. This is known as inheritance. Inheritance means what? Expressing something common among the objects, reusing the concept of one into another and highlighting what is general in something and what is special in another. This is known as inheritance. So inheritance is the feature of acquiring the property of one class into another class. And in case of C++, when I am coming to a C++ or object oriented programming, I have a concept which is known as a class. So here, consider a class that is a point, and through that class a number of points when you combine together forms a line. So point here is known as a base class and line is termed to be a derived class. So this is inheritance. Inheritance is the ability of having property of sharing one thing into another. Next is polymorphism. Polymorphism means what? You have the ability of objects to respond differently to the same message or function call. Now what does this mean? That consider myself, I am a person, but I am a teacher to you. I am acting as a mother to my son or a daughter. I am acting as a wife to my husband. I am acting as a employee to my boss. So these are the different roles I am playing. So when I am playing differently, I will respond differently to the principal. Obviously, I will respond differently to you. I will respond differently to my daughter and son. so on. So I am taking many forms. When anything is taking many forms, a single thing taking many forms is said to be polymorphism. So here the concept polymorphism means what? Poly means many and morphism means forms. When you combine one thing taking many forms, it forms polymorphism. This is a feature which allows object oriented programming to become much more effective. Sorry. So as you can see over here, that a plus symbol can act for an addition of two numbers. A plus symbol can concatenate two strings also. So this is a property a plus sign is having. It is taking two different forms. Okay. Then is the process known as dynamic binding. What is dynamic binding? Binding means, all of you understand, that you are linking something to another. So linking of, in terms of programming, when you are linking the code, that is, you are linking the definition with a procedure call, that at runtime becomes dynamic binding. So dynamic binding is the process of linking of code associated with a procedure call at runtime. So when you are linking this code with its call at runtime, it is known as dynamic binding. You will come to know to this concept of dynamic binding when you learn about polymorphism, that is runtime binding, runtime polymorphism. Okay, so at present keep into mind, dynamic binding is the process of linking the code associated with its procedure call at runtime. Next we have message passing as a concept of OOP, where you are invoking an operation of an object, and this object means what? An object will call another object through each other. They will correspond through message passing. Okay. So these are the concepts which we are seeing in message passing, that a student can a faculty can pass a message to an object. Student object can pass a result to the management. Management can ask for the performance from of the faculty from the student, and vice versa. So message passing to all these three entities can be done. This is known as message passing. Through an object you can pass the messages to one another in case of object oriented programming. So in last we will see about the summary of what we have seen, that different concepts of OOP. Object is known as an instance of a class, that is a runtime entity. Remember, again, class is a blueprint of object. Why? Because it is collection of different types of objects. Then encapsulation is the feature which is combining the data and function into a single unit, that is a class, and hence protecting our data from one another. Polymorphism is acting different behaviors at different instances, one thing taking many forms. Abstraction means hiding the implementation details and don't show the irrelevant data to others. Only what is relevant will be highlighted to the others. So that is abstraction. Lastly, that is inheritance. One property of object is acquiring the property of another object. That is one base class sharing its property with another class, that is derived class, and derived class is acquiring the property of the base class. This is what we are seeing in this session. I would like to tell you about where you can go in for the notes. You can see that you can visit kenjan1.wordpress.com. In that you will see about the tab that is Students Corner, and here you have OOP students as well as videos to teach C++. These videos are quite interacting. You can learn from those videos through. In the OOP students, when you open the OOP students, you will see a number of tabs over there. You can see unit wise study material. Click on the notes. As soon as you click on the notes, you will get all the notes which we are doing daily. The first lecture yesterday, which we on 3rd August, which we considered about the pre-lecture introduction, I've already provided the link for that. And the first lecture which about the introduction of object oriented programming on 4th we were taken, that is also been uploaded on the blog. So kindly refer it. And lastly, quiz which you have to go through the quiz. I have given you a link of the forms. Kindly go through that activity and give a response as fast as possible. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful time. Bye.